Hey guys, EST here. I've worked corporate IT, various jobs for various contractors, multiple IT degrees and all that, so people were actually messaging me saying, hey, you're going to talk about this? I wasn't going to because we don't have a definitive answer, but I think I've got some valuable information and insights that you probably haven't heard anywhere. So they pushed out an update that basically referenced a spot in memory that doesn't exist, and when that happens, Windows turns off. It blue screens turns off. Can't easily fix it by getting rid of the defective file because you can't get the computer to start up. There are ways to do it, but you have to be in person to do it. So, boy, don't you regret going with remote IT services now just to save money, and it's, quote, just as good. But was it on purpose, or was it not? And I'm going to say, was it higher than no knowledge or inadvertent? A higher amount than zero of humans knowing that this is going to happen ahead of time. That's anything from the whole company was in on it and they did it on purpose as a warning or whatever. I've heard all kinds of theories about that. Or was it a saboteur from their competition or an angry, disgruntled employee who like flip-flopped some files or injected a broken file or, whatever. They individually did something to cause it, or was nobody aware of it and it was an accident? People are saying at a company this big, it couldn't be an accident. I'm going to tell you why it absolutely could. That said, I'm leaning towards it not being an accident. So a lot of huge information in this video. Watch it if you want all the details so you don't look like a clueless idiot. Spout enough nonsense where 100% it's definitely this online, because even I don't know and I'm the most qualified to know. So first we're going to start off with, okay, who is this Crowdstrike? They're the biggest anti-everything security company. So antivirus, anti-malware, firewall, ransomware protection, AI behavior, this and that. It's the anti-bad things happening on your corporate network company. They are stupid expensive, but they're considered the best in the world. They have an enormous what they call market share. So, anybody in the market probably runs them. So I wouldn't say 90% of all computers in the world are running this. But if you're running a super high sensitivity like a bank, some kind of stock exchange or something similar, anything with medical records where a breach would be really bad, instant bankruptcy really bad, then you run Crowdstrike. Airports. You don't want nobody hacking the airports. You got all that security, definitely not theater, excuse me. All those super effective and great security measures in person, on foot, on the ground. You probably don't want somebody crashing a plane because, somebody hacked into your computer system. That's why almost every airport was offline, because they use Crowdstrike. Medical uses Crowdstrike, and like I said, anything sensitive. And anybody with the budget too, that's the other thing. So your average, whatever 1,000-person company ain't probably running Crowdstrike, because it's just too expensive to be worth it unless they just really enjoy security. I really enjoy security, which is why I'm in charge of it at my company. We do not use Crowdstrike for, one good reason, because they were already using something else when I got in, but also I wouldn't have chosen them, because never go with the biggest just because they're the biggest, okay? If your answer to why are we going with this is because everybody goes with them and I don't really have a reason other than I guess they're good or somebody would say something, that's what I call the complacency limit. Every giant tech company thinks they're indestructible after they've used illegal means to achieve a near monopoly until they faceplant as hard as MySpace did. You think they can't do a MySpace again? Okay, Microsoft probably not, but then again, G Suite, Chromebooks, they took over schools. Microsoft got caught sleeping and somebody snuck in and took their market share. Now they are absolutely scrambling to release something even worse than Windows 11 for some reason. But anyway, the best example I can give here is with the Microsoft Azure Cloud and 365 Cloud stuff, they have an outage, I'd say on average about once a week. An outage of some kind in one of their systems once a week. If there was an alternative, I would have already switched to them, and if they were 100 times smaller, guess how long they're going to stay in business with a problem once a week, okay? We've had problems once a week with other vendors and we dumped them. We demanded a refund. Okay, that is completely unacceptable. Unless you're so big that you can't possibly be, replaced by anyone. So they think. So I don't think Crowdstrike is oh yeah, we took over the whole world. There's no other antiviruses or anti-malware solutions but us. That is false. But as far as the high-end market, 60, 70, 80%, I would estimate they have coverage at. So why throw $50 million at even better, checks and balances and programming and testing and automation and all this stuff to prevent a problem from happening when you could just not do that and make about the same amount of money because you just have the reputation. The customers just show up. You don't even need to market. So why, quote unquote, waste money? Well, the answer is to maintain your position as number one. You are replaceable. Microsoft just found out they're replaceable. Like I said, who just took over schools? Chromebooks. Microsoft is sweating over that one. But this complacency is how you get Google Glass. Remember that? The wearable glasses that were illegal everywhere. Everybody hated it. And it never should have gotten off the ground. Just in like market research with the community, they should have said, hey, is this a good idea? And then when 90% of people said no, and 10% of people are, fake futurist morons who will buy anything, yeah, probably shouldn't have even made that. One of the worst failed projects ever. Facebook without a metaverse crap. You think you're too big to fail until you fail, and then it's too late. So if they get into that, we're Crowdstrike and we're the best, you have to do something. You have to maintain it. You have to put in effort to keep being the best. And a lot of companies forget that. A lot. So that would lead up to, it was an accident because it was a breakdown. Somebody just taking a quick Friday shortcut, just a little oopsie. Let me give an example of what happened at a place I used to work. And I didn't work there directly, so I can give you some pretty good details, because then you can't really tie it to me. And also, I'm not the one who did it. I worked indirectly through one company, through another company, through another company, for another company. So let's just put it that way. But the highest level one was HCL, which is a $50 billion tech company out in India. I was like, I'm not going to work for some Indian tech company. They're all universally awful. And then they're like, oh, they're worth $50 billion. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll work for them, sure. Yeah, that was a mistake. It's the only project I've ever left early. In my entire career of IT contracting, putting up with some real interesting ones, this was the one where I drew the line. They're liars, scumbags, criminals, greedy, lazy, incompetent, with their fake degrees, complete and utter lack of knowledge, and complete zero work ethic. Why? Because they're the biggest, and who's going to compete with them? They're the one that you go for in anything related to healthcare, because they're the healthcare IT provider, and they're worth $50 billion. We went with them because they're the biggest, and because everybody goes with them. How's that working out for ya? So they did have a couple processes, okay? They're not just complete Wild West, yeehaw, do whatever you want, bunch of small, tiny company, seat of their pants, small startup procedures. No, they're like, we have to put in a change order, okay, which is like a warning to everybody that gets approved by multiple high-level bosses that we're going to make a change of this level. Because it affects networking, we're going to do it between midnight and 5 in the morning. So naturally, middle of the day, somebody said, well, I'm not even going to submit this as one. I have the login, I'm just going to do it. It's just a quick little tiny fix, like nothing is going to go wrong. I just have to change like one line or one letter in the firewall config, add a rule. It's going to take too long. We're understaffed. This person's out on vacation. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to bypass the whole system and just do it. Is what some absolute dingus out in India decided to do in the middle of the day. So, all of our hospitals and clinics had no internet of any kind, which you can imagine is a little disruptive. We had to go to emergency surgeries only, start turning people away. The lines were nuts. We couldn't sign anyone in. We couldn't access medical records. Without the internet at all, we can't really do anything. Look, the x-ray system goes down or one cloud provider goes down, whatever. We'll reschedule one little thing and give the people the day off. With no internet, we're cavemen, okay? They had procedures for it, but like still. Somebody did an oopsie because they were just trying to take a quick little shortcut because, they got this big fancy title. They're the head of networking for this huge contract over in America. And I'm the highest ranked at the biggest company. I don't make mistakes. Yeah, they made a mistake. And guess what you can't do? Take a guess what you can't do if you're over in India and you break the internet. Remotely fix it over the internet. Now with the Crowdstrike situation, guess what also you can't do? You can't push out a bad update that just causes problems, quirky little whatever, breaks the antivirus, starts flagging something incorrectly, which the antivirus company and just general security company that we use at my company does all the time. They call it false positives. Their software is trash. You know what? Screw it. I'm literally staring to my left at my Sophos certifications hanging right on the wall and telling you do not go with Sophos. They're awful. They don't all put in the same level of effort, okay? It's all flash, it's all marketing, and once you're in, they don't care. The support is garbage, their software is trash, but it's like 50 times cheaper than Crowdstrike, so guess what we use? Wasn't my choice. I came in after they chose it. Go with like Mako or something. We have a rule, don't go with the biggest one because of the complacency rule, okay? They're going to do something to screw up at some point, okay? They're going to go flip to full monopoly abuse, and I don't want any part of it. I want somebody who knows they're smaller, knows they're growing, and knows they have to earn it. That's who we're going to go for our hardware, our software, and everything in between. So if you're sitting there scratching your head and talking to IT people, and they say, how could this have happened? There's no way it could have happened. How could somebody bypass all the systems and everything we have in place and nuke the network for multiple states worth of hospitals for a day? By doing that, you just have to do it. Like and the most secure systems, the most like reliable systems are ones checked by multiple humans. It sounds like it doesn't make sense, but AI and automation and algorithms and automated testing can only do so much, and then you need the human to sign off on it. Talented, knowledgeable, expert level, full effort every single day, consistent 100% of the time humans are very expensive. But at Crowdstrike, oh yeah, I don't think AI is writing their patches, you know what I mean? So here's literally what went wrong. They released an update with something called a null pointer, or like a thing that pointed to a memory location that doesn't exist. It was either a placeholder or a typo or who knows. And if you try to access a memory location in Windows that is invalid to that degree, it will just blue screen and turn off for safety because it thinks you're trying to like rip off another program's data. That is a drastic oversimplification of how it works. But they pointed to a thing that's not really there in Windows turned off. I mean, there you go. That's probably the better way to describe it. How did that update make it through testing? You could test it on any Windows OS in the entire world. Anything from Windows 10, 11, any build of it, any version of it, any revision of it, anything. Any Windows Server OS currently supported, it affected all of them. It blue screened anything with Windows on it of any kind. There is no way that you're like, whoa, we just hit a conflict with this one really rare Lexicon branded sound card that 10 people are running. Oh, okay, we'll fix it. Oh, there was a conflict with this one type of processor and this one type of mother. No, it affected 100% of all computers, and that's why people are saying this is impossible. Completely impossible that it was on purpose because it never would have gotten through testing, and multiple people sign off on testing. It's not just one person signing off on testing. Probably, I mean, maybe, but that would have been a time bomb that probably would have already exploded a long time ago. It's a team of people, but people are out. There's replacements. There's gaps where people quit and go to a different company or retire. No company is as perfect on the inside as it looks on the outside. Remember that. Now let's move to, okay, was it on purpose? Was it not? Could it be accidental? It seems like no, but I just gave an example of why, well, let's just bypass everything. I just got to make one last second change. I don't want to send it through the whole system again because it's this really long process that takes forever. So I'm just going to change this one line, make this one typo, spelling correction, whatever, and then I'll submit that. I'll just say that this is the one they approved. What if a person that there's, version 201A, and 201A doesn't work because in testing, oops, we left a null pointer in there. Whoops. It crashed all of our testing systems, so don't do this one. Use whatever number I just said, B. B is the revision that actually does work. Make sure you upload that one. Somebody just literally clicks on the wrong file. Somebody, when they're saving it, named it the wrong thing. Now, that should all be automated if they're really smart. So that's just an example, but like 100 different things like that could have happened, and all the processes in the world and checks and stuff wouldn't really prevent it 100% of the time, okay? There's still something that could go wrong. And the something is usually somebody saying, this is just a quick little thing and I'm perfect at my job and look at me and my high status, I'm so great, I don't make mistakes. I can go around it because it's faster and I want to cover for a mistake that I myself made or my friend made. So I'm just going to pass this through and make an unauthorized change. I could see it. That is actually completely reasonable. I've seen that happen probably a dozen times in my career. Heck, I'm sure I've done it. When I owned my own company, shortcuts was the way we did everything. We had to be faster and cheaper than the competition. That's how we grew. Yeah, I've accidentally bricked a router. Yeah, I've accidentally lost customer data like once ever. Is what it is. If I was any slower and more expensive, I wouldn't have had a company. But you don't expect that from the big ones, except you should absolutely expect that from the big ones where you're paying attention to this video. So I hope I outlined the general scenarios that I think could lead to it being an accident, but you might have already caught on to why I think maybe it wasn't. I'm very much leaning towards it wasn't. But, okay, disgruntled employee. They flip-flop the names on A and B, version 2002A, 2002B, and C and D, and revision number, whatever. They all run together in your head. Maybe you got, no sleep the night before. Maybe you came to work sick. Maybe you're not at 100% that day. Maybe you just had a kid and they were up screaming all night. But you're still going to do your job, dang it. Maybe someone has a drug problem. Maybe they have a gaming addiction. Maybe they were out gambling all night. I don't know. You don't know. People show up and make mistakes no matter what their job is, no matter who they are. I have seen it. I've seen it at the smallest level, I've seen it at the highest level. But ignore all that, what if it's on purpose? Now instead of waiting for a mistake to happen when your process is pretty tight, you got somebody with some access to some passwords and some things, and they go, you know what? I heard they're about to fire me. I heard somebody didn't like the way I do my job. I got a better offer from the competition. The competition kidnapped my wife and family and are making me sabotage this company. Anything. A person with a lot of access and a drug problem and they need money, a debt problem, a mobile game addiction, whatever, gambling, like I said, who knows? Somebody is motivated to come in and do this on purpose. Nothing Nothing in IT stops a person with sufficient access. If you limit my access to something, I'll just log into the system above it and give myself access to it, okay? Like, that's just my level that I'm at in my company. Like, my company has an ultra protected, like, ultra private, high security storage for stuff like lawsuits and, like, I don't know, employee complaints. I actually don't know what's in there because I didn't look in there because I'm not a moron. I'm sure it's logged. I like my job and want to keep it. But if something went wrong with that folder, there's corrupt files or something got deleted and we have to undelete it, guess what? I have admin access to the system that backs it up and backs up all the data. I could just restore it to my computer and look at it all. I would never do that, but I could. Now let's replace, moral me with some desperate person or some incredibly angry person or some really mentally deranged person. Okay, now watch out. Now you're in trouble. Now you're in big trouble. So if somebody, one single person inside that company decided, and they're high enough up with high enough access, they decided that they want to do this on purpose, they absolutely could. Now imagine 10 people at the company decide they want to do it for various reasons. Now keep in mind, Crowdstrike is the same company that said unequivocally, yes, we have absolute evidence and can confirm that Trump colluded with Russia to mess with the election, and that's why he beat Hillary. And not because people would vote for anyone who wasn't a politician and hated Hillary because she's such an establishment, evil, crooked shill. And they were super done with dynasty crap after Bush, just saying. So they will do and say and confirm anything if people with enough influence and power in governments or other companies with a lot of resources tell them to. They have proven that in the past by those actions. They've also done some other questionable things, but you get it. They're not to be trusted. So if the upper management can unilaterally decide, okay, we're going to say this or do this, confirm this, because somebody coerced us into doing it, or they're just, brainwashed lefty idiots. So they just go along because they think it's the quote unquote right thing to do when they're all just lying hypocrites and there's no logic in anything that the left thinks right now, well, then they're going to do it. Now, isn't it odd that it happened right after RNC? And so people are stacking up this stuff that's really loose evidence, okay? It points a direction and it shows a narrative, but you could break a bunch of computers worldwide on any given day of the calendar out of 365, and I could probably come up with 5 reasons why, well, that was a convenient and unusual coincidence that would be on that day. Oh, it was right after Patch Tuesday with Microsoft. Oh, it was right after this merger. Oh, it was right after this and that. People do big, giant, swingy changes at their companies all the time. So it's not enough evidence. It's just, okay, we know they're liars. We know they lean left. And they disrupted flights, and it was right after the RNC. Here's why that whole, the government made me do it thing, but we did it willingly because, yay, we're all on the woke team. And the whole, woke DEI, let's improve, quote-unquote, society crap. They're all on that team together, whether there's, one chief telling them all what to do or they all just collectively do it because they do it. Whether that's the case or it was, one person doing it on purpose, sabotage, basically. Retaliation, that kind of thing. What's the one thing that collapses all that crap instantly? Losing money. Now, you do have Budweiser, where they could have prevented, $40 billion in lost stock valuation, company valuation, money and revenue, by apologizing. Fire some people and apologize. And they were incapable of doing that with their entire company on the line and multiple billions of dollars, and they still were incapable of doing that. Now look at Tractor Supply. Okay, Tractor Supply Company, huge retailer of hardware and stuff and farm stuff. They get caught one time from one whistleblower saying, hey, here's the training. It's kind of just woke garbage. Stock price tanks 11% overnight because people are so done with this DEI crap. That's toxic to your entire company. That infection spreads, your company's done for. People in Wall Street and people voting for the wallet on the ground, especially Midwest farmers, conservative, come on, farmers shop there, you're done. And the management knew they're done, so they took we did it because everybody does it, and because the stock market forced us to, and DEI money, and we were forced to hire a equality and whatever bullshit department. They fired the whole department. They just said, sorry guys, yeah, this was a mistake. We're getting rid of all of them and not doing any of that anymore. Goodbye. For every Budweiser, there's 10 other companies that got caught and did not double down. Disney, they're riding that one down like the guy riding the nuke in that one famous movie, the Doctor Strangelove or whatever. They will send that company into bankruptcy before they get rid of it because they let the problem grow too much. Now, I don't know enough about Crowdstrike to see if they got rainbow parades outside their office every other day, or if they just had a department because they thought so, or if it was a one-time mistake and they corrected it with all the Trump crap. I have no idea. I would need a lot of insider information that I don't have to know how woke they are. There's not a whole lot of politics and forced equality, pseudo racism nonsense in cybersecurity services, okay? So this whole, evil company that's super notoriously left-aligned, which people just like made up, well, with just one piece of evidence one time from the Trump stuff, but whatever. They could have been paid to give that information. Let's just put it that way. Maybe they were just like, yeah, more money means more good. We got a giant government contract if we agreed to confirm that all this was real. That's all we have to do. So they're not aligned with it, they're aligned with money. Now, most lefty companies are super, super, super greedy, and the ones that are publicly held are forced to be greedy. Because if you're not greedy and you're like, we're just going to have a bad year, then you're just not going to have a company because your stock price will tank and you'll have no more operating capital. You'll miss payroll and you'll be filling out the bankruptcy paperwork within a month, okay? Very, very fragile when you go onto the stock market. So as soon as all this woke lefty aligned with the Democrats crap starts affecting your bottom line and your income, then you're done playing with that. It's done. That is how most companies deal with it. And the ones that don't are called Budweiser and Disney. Look how they're doing right now. They can hang on to the toxic pill as long as they want until it kills them. I don't care. You either snap back and fix it and realize what's going on, or you go away. Those are your two options in 2024. So then we got the issue with Trump. I don't know how sensitive the scanning is on YouTube for the terms, but the attempted high velocity lead, and then all the really unusual gigantic short sales that happened before it. And so everybody's on like maybe corporations, the global this and that, and the agenda was behind it, which it's looking like almost definitely yes. I mean, they got 5-foot tall fat women in the Secret Service, okay? The DEI got to them a little bit at least. A little bit plus, and we don't know how big the plus is, although look at the entire FBI, but anyway. Now people are looking for anything, and they're like, well, this was right after it. Is there any connection? I mean, I get it. It's circumstances, it's adding up, but you can't just say, well, I want this to be true, so it is. Okay, stop going on social media and saying, I want this to be true, so it is, so I'm gonna tout it as the truth, and then when it gets found out to be false, you look like an idiot because you didn't follow evidence and science and proof. This makes the other team look bad, so it's true. What are you, the Democrats? Like, what? Stop with that. So everybody I know that's even vaguely conservative is like, this is definitely 100% chances it was on purpose. And then the new to IT people are like, no, a company that big with all the processes and all the money and resources, that would never happen. Look how many people would have to go through. And then the grizzled old IT veterans, and I'm not just talking about age, I'm talking about I used to do contracting, so I'd go to a company, then a different company, then a different company. So if somebody's like, I've worked at IT for 10 years, yeah, at the same company, the same two companies, you don't know anything. You know how that company does things. You don't know what you're talking about, sorry. I've been everywhere and done everything. I've seen systems break down. I've seen poorly designed systems, good ones. I've seen companies come and go. I don't think I mentioned this. I used to work for Demand Media. I also used to work for HCL. I can't even name two bigger screw-ups except for the AWS February 29th outage, which was kind of funny. I don't have examples of more careless mistakes. And actually, that one wasn't careless. That one would have gotten past me. So shout out to AWS. I use it as an example, but, I'll explain that one. They set their systems to renew calendar date plus 1 year to renew the certificates. So 1 year after February 29th, which is an every 4-year leap year, everything broke. Like a third of the global internet went down for a couple hours. A third of the internet. That's worse than Crowdstrike. That makes Crowdstrike look like they accidentally tipped over a coffee onto a server one time. They aren't even the same scale. Amazon Web Services, which one's like the majority of the internet, going down for a little bit. Oh, now that was why would this ever not work? Oopsie, that was human error. That was in the code. That was a mistake. It was a big mistake. But 50 people probably signed off on that code. Everybody checked it and they didn't see a problem with that. Nobody remembered that February 29th was a thing. It was basically Y2K 2.0. And now people are saying this is what Y2K would have been if Y2K actually happened and blindsided us, but we saw it coming and fixed all the critical systems. I say we like I wasn't 10 years old back then, but you know what? It's a collective retroactive we, because we programmers, woo, we fixed it before it was a catastrophe. You're welcome. But man, let me just say, how many times has Microsoft released an update that absolutely just destroyed everybody's computers? To this extent and with this level of fixing, not much, but not zero. I can think of a couple instances where they put out an update so bad and then pulled it really quickly. It was just nuking computers. In fact, okay, I don't remember what it was. I remember it's number 4441 is what it ends in, I think. We still to this day say we don't want another 4441 problem. That was an update that fundamentally did not work. It would just sit there in a loop and try to install and alert all of your systems. So everybody with monitoring on their servers would get thousands of alerts saying, hey, Windows Update failed on this, every single computer on your entire network. And everybody's just losing their minds. How the hell did that get pushed out by Microsoft? It wasn't malicious. It just scared people. It didn't cause any damage. Okay. But I'm not really even simplifying it. They threw out a 700 megabyte patch and made it go into a 500 megabyte container, and then it just kept failing because it doesn't fit. How the hell? How? To this day, we're still wondering how they could have possibly approved that. How did that get through testing? Windows updates are the most tested thing in the entire world. And we've probably in the last 20 years had like 200 bad updates go out. So don't sit there and tell me CrowdStrike couldn't have screwed this up on accident. And that goes 10x if somebody did it on purpose. To get revenge on the company, to damage the company, whatever, they're just mentally unwell, who knows? If they hire DEI people, it probably was a mentally unwell person that got a bunch of promotions when they shouldn't have. So could it have been an accident? Yes, it absolutely could have. I just told you why it could have. I gave you examples of how it did at other similar sized companies and bigger. Could it have been on purpose? Absolutely. We've got a lot of strong evidence for them being aligned with the type of people who would do this at a time where it would affect the RNC and some early voting and some other stuff the highest. But would they do it when the amount of reputational and stock price damage, oh my God, like they'll be lucky to not go bankrupt. They're virtually irreplaceable right now, but that's what VMware thought right up until they got, bought by a very malicious company called Broadcom, who's very Chinese and very evil and very greedy. They jacked up all the prices thinking nobody could switch, and then everybody started switching to literally anything else. Shout out to Proxmox and Scale Computing, okay? Enjoy your windfall. Everyone at every level is replaceable. Everybody with their, ear to the ground is seeing this happen over and over and over. So would the upper management or whoever evil cabal of evil people at CrowdStrike, if they got the orders, hey, take down this as a warning of what could happen, just so people know, and they'll say, okay, we have like 30 competitors, they're all smaller than us, but like, don't you think a bunch of our clients are going to never use us ever again because they can't trust our process? And then there's a rumor that we did it on purpose. They lost billions. That's why I say for every Budweiser out there, there's 100 other companies that turned it around. There's Tractor Supplies out there where they're like, oh, all this woke crap, all this going along with the global narrative that we need to move in a very bad progressive direction. That's all lovely. Hi, I'm Mr. Krabs and I like money. So no, we're not going to do that. And in fact, shut up, don't even request it again, or we're going to whistleblow on you that you requested we do this, because this will destroy our company. That ain't worth it. I like my job. I like my stock options, and I'm retiring in 10 years, nobody's going to approach a company and say, hey, do this. They'll be like, what's that going to do to our bottom line, though, and our reputation? Yeah, let's do it anyway and just call it a mistake. Just somebody fat-fingered it. Oh, nothing you can do is going to prevent you. No way you spin this is going to prevent you from utterly destroying your company and just killing half your customers. Your money is going to go so far down the toilet after pulling a stunt like this that I just cannot believe that it was on purpose. Unless it was a sabotage, and that was the point. So my number one theory is that it was internal sabotage from an angry employee or somebody who snuck in from their competition to take them down, or somebody who had something against them, somebody who didn't like what they did with the Trump-Russia thing. Just saying. Somebody who didn't like their pay cut. Somebody who didn't like something their boss said. They're just like, oh yeah, let's push out this update with a null pointer. Here, have fun. Do I think it happened on accident? It would have to be a big accident, but I've seen examples of stuff like this happening, so that is very reasonable, and that's my number 2 most likely scenario. Number 3 being they did it on purpose is a big, a warning, a global thing, a test, or, something malicious on purpose, whatever. And then a distant, virtually impossible number 4 is like somebody at their competition or somebody didn't like them hacked into their system and like damaged the update and then got it approved anyway. That, for about 100 different reasons, is pretty far-fetched. I'd give that a 1% chance, but what's my percentage split? I always do that on this channel. That I'd give CrowdStrike, 65% inside, whatever the remainder is, accident. Oh, but then take off like 5% for about a 5%. They did it on purpose as a secret cabal warning, whatever conspiracy nonsense. Nobody's going to shoot themselves in the foot for like 20, 30, 40 billion dollars, okay, without being a deranged, like, psycho lefty. And if you're that, like, not mentally well, drinking the Kool-Aid from that cult, you probably don't have the mental faculties to run a company, a successful company, pardon me. You hear about that feminist company that built a bridge and it collapsed? Yeah, you can run a company at all. Briefly. Anyway, that's my insights into it. I wanted to really dive deep into this because you guys love long form stuff, you love blog stuff, and you love getting all the information because we really don't have dumb people on this channel. I'm not just sucking up to you. I'm just saying that's what I've experienced in the comments section, and it is true. Couple of paranoid, delusional conspiracy morons out there who couldn't find your ass with both hands, but that's definitely the minority. Very, very tiny percentage. So if I was a bunch of alarmist crap and the world's going to end tomorrow every 5 minutes and nobody caught on to the fact that I'm always saying that never happens, I would have a slightly different community. It would be bigger, but I wouldn't be able to live with myself. So hey, subscribe if you made it this far in the video and if you appreciate what I do here, and I'll see you guys next time.